session with a client, and I made this diagram kind of to illustrate how I feel I look at attempting to make any change in your life, any change in my own life, how to bring about change, what holds us back and what tools we have to get there. So basically, the keys to bring about change and live the life of your dreams are held in these 4 circles. Of course, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just one way of looking at what I try to teach, or how I try to see how things are for people and for myself. So I will just apply this to myself while we look at the keys. Right. So perception. We look at things through our eyes and we see, and we also perceive with our other senses, so our hands and feet, like feeling, and we perceive smell and balance and pressure and all of those things. That is then interpreted by our cognitive mind. So it goes into our head and we think about what we see. And really a second picture, a second layer, a cloak, so to speak, over everything that we see is moulded into our perception. So this cloak that I'm talking about is built by our past experiences, our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us, what we've seen before. Our brain goes through some really quick processes where it compares what it sees now to anything it's seen before that's similar. There is the reticular activating system. So we are getting a whole lot of information coming into our brains at any 1 second, and we filter out. Our brains, or our subconscious, or whatever you want to call it, will filter out whatever it deems to be irrelevant and only see or process the information that is relevant, and then it builds a picture out of the relevant information. So there's a lot going on when we see something, and our perception is built out of all of what I've just explained. So there's a lot more depth to that statement, and I would go on to explain that more in detail. But just leave it there at the moment that what we perceive is not necessarily 100% correct, and what I perceive is not necessarily anything like what you would perceive when looking at the same situation, because there would be different past experiences. You'd be focusing on different things, cancelling out different things that weren't important to you, and making a bigger deal out of some things that were very important to you, and then building a slightly different picture based on your past experiences and what you've filtered out and what you think you saw. So there's perception. Links to that, and beside it we have belief. So our beliefs about ourselves and the world around us, we carry those with us. We carry them with us both consciously and subconsciously. So we have all sorts of beliefs. We have beliefs about what we're capable of. We have beliefs about how we think we will be treated by certain people. We have beliefs about what the likely outcome of certain situations are going to be. And as I said, we may consciously hold these beliefs where you think about the situation and you can say A, B, C, this is what I believe. And we also have subconscious beliefs, which means that we may be confronted with a certain situation and we will automatically react a certain way, say run away, without actually having a conscious thought pattern. So we'll just be confronted with the situation and we'll react a certain way without consciously having to think, and that is based and driven by a subconscious belief. So, for example, you may have never been attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, but the minute that one jumps into your face, you run away because you have a subconscious belief that the saber-toothed tiger is going to eat you. Of course, if you spent the time having a deep and meaningful conversation about what would happen if a saber-toothed tiger came along, you would be able to articulate consciously with your conscious beliefs that they are dangerous and they are likely to eat you, and even though they don't exist, if you came across one, you'd probably run away. However, when you first encounter a situation like this and you haven't had time to think about it, you are going to act on your subconscious beliefs. These beliefs can be held about absolutely everything, and they are. They are built from past experiences, they are built from what you've seen on television, they are built from what you've been told, they are built from a lot of your beliefs have been given to you by your parents, your siblings, the other people that you look up to, and often we don't question what our beliefs are, we just hold them, and some of those beliefs are quite outdated beliefs, but until we have been confronted with something that brings the belief to the forefront, often we just keep acting in accordance with our older beliefs, whether they're actually still true or still serve us or not. So definitely worth looking at. So that's the second key. The next key I'll talk about is awareness. So we form new levels of awareness throughout our life. We learn new things. We might read a book and it might make us think of something or get an idea. That's a light bulb. And we have a new level of awareness now about that certain subject. We, I believe, become spiritually aware at different levels, and there's no one single path when it comes to spirituality. It really is all built on your starting premises, your first beliefs, the way you perceive the world around you, and then the information that you go on to learn and how you relate these things together, and you form new connections, and as I say, you gain a new level of awareness. So these levels of awareness are not entirely just about spirituality. You can gain new levels of awareness about your own body, about what you're capable of, about interactions. Perhaps you never studied chemistry when you were at school, and then you went on to learn about the world of atoms and elements and microbes and how they all interact with each other, and you form a new awareness about the world around you based on that information. The same with looking outside of ourselves. When we look at the universe and we form a new level of awareness about our place in the universe and how tiny we really are, that's a new level of awareness. So these awarenesses certainly impact how we live our lives, how we see what's out there. They impact our perception and they impact our beliefs. And it's pretty simple to say that until you become aware of these things, they don't even factor into your reality. So they are not even actually real in your world until you learn about them. So until you gain the level of awareness, it doesn't even factor into your life. So it might as well not exist. Interesting. So if you look at one other person, and I tend to try not to compare myself to other people too often at all, but sometimes it's necessary, and you realize that their level of awareness is completely different to yours, then when you are confronted with a problem together and they don't understand what you're saying about it and why you think that this is right and that is wrong, you can see why there is conflict there. But when you begin to understand that we are all on our own journey, we all have our own perceptions and beliefs, and there's no one right or wrong, we have different levels of awareness, and we let go of the urge to convince anybody else at all of anything and accept the fact that we're all on our own journey, we get a new sense of freedom and a new level of awareness. Big lesson there. Big lesson there. Right. So the fourth circle I have here is choice. Choice is very much tied into belief, very much tied into awareness. In fact, it's tied into everything. You will become more and more aware in life that everything is a choice. Everything. Sometimes you may feel that your choices have been taken away, but there is always a level of your own choice in any situation. So, when you become aware of how your beliefs are affecting you, when you can't become aware of how perception is changing the world around you, when you become aware that awareness, aware of awareness, when you become aware that awareness is changing the picture of the world around you and that your experience is different to anybody else's, and then you become aware that you can choose. You can choose what to focus on. You can choose where to look. You can choose how to react. You can choose how your reaction affects your decision later. You can choose how somebody else's reaction affects you. You can choose what you eat that day. You can choose what you drink that day. You can choose what time you go to bed. You can choose whether to run away. You can choose to look after yourself, or you can choose to ignore all your problems. You can choose to drink yourself into oblivion every day, and you can choose to blame alcohol on the reason why you feel terrible, and you can choose to believe that you're not in control. You can choose to believe that you're not in control. So I could go on and on and on. Everything is a choice. All your beliefs are choices. Anything that happened to you in the past, you can't change the past, but you can choose how it affects you from here on. So I may have rambled a bit, and this may have made no sense to you whatsoever. Something I didn't get into in this talk is the way that these overlap. Of course, you're starting to see that they're all interrelated. And we'll go on to that another day, I guess. I'd be interested to know what people's thoughts are on all this, how much of that sort of chat you've come across in life at other times. If any of that is quite new to you. Reticular activating system, one of my favourite subjects. Perception, one of my favourite things. And your interpretation of what I've said. I'd love to hear your thoughts, how this all relates to other beliefs of yours. Perhaps you like to use the law of attraction. Perhaps you are an entrepreneur. Perhaps you have changed a lot of amazing circumstances in your life to become much better. Perhaps you've overcome some things that used to hold you back, and this is a new insight as to how you made that happen. I would love to hear your stories, so go ahead and throw me a comment and we will build on it from there. I hope you enjoyed this.